I'll just confirm when the live stream has started. And the live stream has started, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody to this meeting of the Aberdeenshire Licensing Board. The recording has started and the live broadcast has also started. Please note that the board meeting is being live streamed and will be recorded and published online for public viewing after the meeting. Can members please activate their cameras where possible to enable you to join by video, and can all attendees mute their microphones when not speaking? Please do not come in during items unless I invite you to do so. Can I confirm that all members have been able to access the papers for today's meeting in advance?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And if members wish to speak at any point, please use the hands up function on the Teams. And if anybody's dialed into the meeting, which I don't think we have today, it would be pressing #5 on your handset. If anybody has any technical issues during the meeting, please try and send an alert to the Deputy Clerk in a separate Teams instant message if possible. But if not, the IT officer today is Paul Baxter, and we have his telephone number if you require assistance during the meeting.
He's actually in the meeting as well, Chair.
He's in the meeting. Excellent. Right, in that case, I doubt if we'll need any comfort breaks today because it's not a huge agenda, but I'll slot it in if it looks as though it might be sensible. Okay. Can I ask the Deputy Clerk to now take the sederant, please?
Thank you, Chair. I have apologies from Stuart Adams. Mrs. Dawn Black. If you could say if you're present.
We're not hearing you, Dawn.
I can see that you're here, so that's better. I can see that you're here. So
I've just taken my headphones out.
That's it. That's it.
Mr. Jeff Crowson.
Yeah.
Here. Mrs. Marion Unson.
I'm here.
Mr. Jeff Goodall.
Present.
Mr. Trevor Mason.
Present.
Mr. Richard Maynard.
Present.
Mrs. Jenny Nichol.
Present.
And for the benefit of the public, we have 2 positions vacant on the board. I can also advise that we have apologies from Sergeant Neil Grant, but we have, is it Sergeant or PC Seb Cook with us from Police Scotland? I don't want to give you the wrong title.
Good morning, it's Constable.
Constable, thank you. Keith Simpson.
Present.
Sarah Ward is on annual leave. Lisa Godini.
Present.
Kevin MacDonald.
Morning. Present.
I have apologies from Lauren Cowie and Jill Joss and Amanda DeCandia. Lindsay Kimmett.
Here, Fiona.
Thank you. And for admin, we have Beatrice Hay, we have Jenny Mearns on live stream, and we also have Delcia Borland. I would also like to introduce the board to our new trainee, Sian Gullen, who started with us last week and is in the governance team for 6 months and will be observing today, but will be actively getting involved in the processing of applications and the review of the policy statement over the next 6 months. So I'd like to introduce her to the board and welcome her to the team. Chair, I have no other apologies.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to add our welcome to Sian as well. Nice to see you at the Aberdeenshire Licensing Board, Sian, and I'm sure you'll get to know us all in your time with the board. Now move on to item 2, declaration of members' interests. Can members please state if you have an interest to declare, and if you have, please clarify the item number, the nature of the declaration, and whether or not you will leave the meeting. Any declarations of interest? Mr. Mason?
Yes, it's the Rapper Penguin Club. I'm a member of the Royal Air Force Association, so I'm not. I don't know anybody there at that club itself, but I'm still a member of the RAF Association.
So you're declaring an interest and won't take part in the determination of that application. Is that correct?
Well, I was going to stand back. Do I need to stand back or?
Yeah, by virtue of the fact that you're a member, you would need to step down for that particular application.
Yes, just for that particular application.
Yeah.
Okay, right, thanks.
Okay, so just for clarity, that's item 5 and it's application number 3. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 3, our equalities resolution. Do you agree with the resolution on equalities? Please open your microphones and state if you agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 4, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on the 22nd of June, which seems a long time ago. The minute is for approval as a correct record only. Can we agree it as a correct record? Please open your microphones again and state if you agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, so there's no issues with the minutes. In that case, then we can move on to the business item 5, which are applications for major variations, non-contentious. And I shall hand over to the Deputy Clerk, Fiona Stewart, to outline the terms of the application. Of the first one is Ithen Filling Station.
Thank you, Chair. All of these applications are for non-contentious major variations. This one for the Ithen service station is due to a refurbishment of the premises. You will see that their hours of operation are not changing. Due to the refurbishment, the capacity of their alcohol display has increased slightly, requiring a major variation. The applicant has submitted their certificate of confirmation for display of the site notice. None of the consultees had any comments to make on the application, and it is recommended that the application be granted subject to the local conditions that are currently attached, which are listed in the report, and there are no conditions specific to the application. Happy to take questions, Chair.
Sorry, just getting back to this screen again. No questions from members? Okay, in that case, does the board feel they've got sufficient evidence to allow a determination to be made?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So with that, the application would be granted. Yes?
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay. Moving on to the second application today, and this one is from Cruden Bay Golf Club. So I'll hand over again to the Deputy Clerk to outline the terms of the application to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is a major variation for Cruden Bay Golf Club. As you can see from the report, they're not changing their on-sale hours. They are adding off-sale hours, 11 till 10, Monday to Sunday. They have a slight alcohol display area of 4.37 square metres. They've also added an outside drinking area, and in conjunction with that, access for children and young persons to that area. The club is changing their seasonal variations to allow for private functions out with core hours in the winter time, and those would take place Monday, Tuesday and Thursday to open till 10 p.m. They've updated their matrix of activities, their disabled access statement, their house policy, and updated the licensing objectives risk assessment to take account of the variations that they've made. Their layout plan now has the outside drinking area included on it, and their list of activities has been amended to reflect activities that now take place out with core hours in the winter season. Certificate of compliance has been submitted in relation to the display of the site notice. You'll see from the report that Police Scotland, the LSO and Environmental Health all made recommended conditions in respect of the outside drinking area, and that building standards initially had some questions querying the layout. The applicant, however, submitted an amended layout plan which satisfied building standards, and they subsequently withdrew the representation. There have been no other objections or representations. The applicant was asked to submit an amended application form and operating plan by the 12th of August. I'm pleased to say that those documents have now been submitted to the board. The recommendations of the consultees have been included in the conditions recommended for the licence, and you will see the terminal hour for condition 31 has been changed to 10 p.m. in line with the recommendations, and there are 4 conditions specific to the application as a result of the recommended conditions. With that, the board no longer is being asked to grant this in principle, but is being asked just to grant the application as applied for. Happy to take questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I think that's quite clear as to why we can now look at it as a grant in full. Do members wish to discuss the application at all, or do they have any questions? No.
No.
Okay, in that case, do you feel you've had sufficient evidence to allow a determination to be made?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
So in that case, this would be granted in full. Thank you.
Chair, can I now ask Mr. Mason to leave the meeting for the next application, and I'll call him back in once it's been considered.
Okay, thank you.
And I can
Right.
confirm that Mr. Mason has now left. So the final application, Chair, is for the RAFA Penguin Club, and RAFA stands for Royal Air Forces Association, for those that are not familiar with the premises. It's a members club located in Fraserburgh. Excuse me. They have a minor variation included with their major variation in that instead of just being closed on a Wednesday, they're now going to be closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They've amended their on-sale hours on a Sunday to add an extra hour to 9 o'clock in the evening, and they've added off-sale hours at the weekend as well. You'll also see that they have amended their seasonal variations and activities to allow for social functions out with their normal core hours between 11 AM and 12:30 on any day of the week. The certificate of compliance has been submitted. The LSO requested an amended operating plan, and I'm pleased to say we received that yesterday. Again, this can now be granted in full, similar to the previous application. There are no conditions that are specific to the application, and the local conditions recommended are all the conditions that are currently on the licence. Happy to take questions, Chair. Excuse me.
Okay. No questions? Members wish to discuss the application at all? No. In that case, can I just confirm that the board have sufficient evidence to allow a determination to be made?
Yes.
Yes. So in that case, it looks like this one can also be granted and that there are no issues raised, and it can be granted in full as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just bring
Mr. Mason back in. Yeah.
excuse me.
Thanks.
Right, there he is.
Good.
All present and correct. So we can move on to item 6, the timeline for the review of the licensing board policy. I'll hand over to the Deputy Clerk to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. This is the initial report outlining the process that we will follow to review the policy statement, which has to be reviewed by the 1st of November 2023. The timeline is attached to the report, and you'll see that we have a statutory duty to both review our main policy statement and also our over provision policy statement, which we actually have as a supplementary to our main policy statement. The report outlines that we have statutory requirements to consult with specific people and organisations, and also this is your policy, so we will be engaging with you as board members, and we will also be liaising with Aberdeenshire Council through the area committees as part of the review process. Although the board is not a council committee, we do follow the council's policy for reviewing policy documents as set out in Aberdeenshire Council Scheme of Governance. So you'll see that there's a timeline attached to the report. This is following the traffic light system. For red on target deadline missed, yellow or amber for ongoing, and green for target deadline met. We also have a comments column to include anything of note, and we will update that as we go along. You will see at every board meeting between now and next October that the timeline will be attached without a covering report, just the timeline, so that we keep you up to date. And there will be engagement sessions with you as board members after each board meeting. If you are happy with the timeline, I would ask that you approve it, and note that we'll be going out to consultation at various stages, and that you will be kept up to date with the review. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I would ask you to make yourself familiar with the policy statement between now and the October board, because we will be discussing our main issues that we want to tackle on the review of the policy at the next board. Thank you, Chair. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Do members have any questions or points to raise? I would just maybe ask for some information on the extent of consultation and who will be consulting with, if that's available.
Yes, Chair. We have in the report itself, we have a statutory duty to consult with Police Scotland, with the Health Board, with members of the trade, with young people. So I'm looking for the next bit of the report. My report has skipped. Here we go. And any person the board thinks appropriate. Now, what we do is we consult extensively. So we go to community councils, we go to the area committees. We're going to use the Engage platform to go out to the trade and to members of the public. We'll consult with the Scottish Licensed Trade Association, with alcohol, the Alcohol and Drugs Partnership, with organisations that deal with people who are dependent on alcohol. We have also got links to tourism, to public transport and transport organisations, Alcohol Focus Scotland, alcohol charities, tourism charities. That's just to name but a few, but what I can do is give you the complete list in an email separate to that. And if you look at Appendix Supplementary Policy 2 to the existing statement, you will see in table format there all of the bodies that we previously consulted with, and it will be very similar again with some additional bodies like Visit Scotland, Visit Aberdeenshire, Criminal Justice and Social Work, the Youth Parliament. We're doing extensive work with Lawrence Finlay and the Education Service to engage with young people. So we're looking to expand all the time. But we have, I can give you a detailed list, but as I say, Supplementary Policy 2 of the existing policy statement has further details.
Okay, thank you. I think that can be rightly described as extensive consultation.
There's one thing that you've reminded me to say is that one of the statutory consultees is the licensing forum. As you're aware, we don't currently have a licensing forum in Aberdeenshire. What we have or propose to do is, as part of the Engage public consultation, is to ask questions of the public, the community, about their awareness of the forum, what it does, and to gauge the interest in re-establishing the forum, so that we can then take a report to full council to see if there's enough interest to get that forum re-established. So we're trying to get around that by engaging with those people, those organisations that would have been members with the forum direct, but we're also at the same time looking to get knowledge out there about the forum, what it does, and to see what interest there is out there about getting that re-established. So it's not something we're overlooking, we're embedding that into the review process.
That's good, thank you. Any questions on that, Mrs. Nicholl?
Thanks, Chair. Just a follow up. So how long does the public consultation usually last? You know, is it a kind of a long period? It says in the document November and December, but it was just to allow people to
That's
have
an
plenty of
informal,
time.
yeah, that's an informal consultation to help us identify the main issues. And once we've identified the main issues, we will work on a draft policy which will be brought to the board for approval, and then there will be a longer formal consultation period, which usually lasts 2 to 3 months. And that will take place sort of April to September next year, before we pull the final policy document together for approval by the board in October next year to go live on the 1st of November. So the November-December consultation this year is an informal exercise with the public, with the consultees, to help us identify the main issues that we need to consider. And then there will be a further period of formal consultation next year, which will be a longer period.
Thank you.
We've also been invited to the community council forums, so we're hoping that through that we'll be able to engage at community level with members of the public as well on issues.
Okay, thank you. That's quite a good forum because they've got quite a spread of communities involved, so that's a good one. Any further comments? In that case, can I draw your attention to the recommendations on page 32 of your papers? And in terms of recommendation 1.2a, does the board agree to approve the timeline set out at Appendix 1 in the report?
Agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. And in terms of recommendation 1.2b, does the board agree to note that the timeline includes update reports for the board during the review period at regular intervals and opportunities for engagement with board members on issues highlighted by the review?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Now we can move on to item 6.2, the board dates for the committee cycle 2023 into 2024.
Thank you, Chair. As some of you may be aware, we set our board meeting dates to coincide with Aberdeenshire Council's committee calendar so that we avoid clashes of meetings. And you will see from Appendix 1 that we have dates highlighted in green that take us up to the end of this committee cycle that are already approved. We have draft proposed dates in yellow in Appendix 1 for the next committee cycle. I've done my level best to avoid clashes with Aberdeenshire Council meetings, and the dates are as proposed: 28th of June, 16th of August, 4th of October, 20th of December, 28th of February and the 24th of April 2024. It's also proposed at the current time to continue with online meetings until Aberdeenshire Council establishes a workable hybrid solution, but I will be booking Committee Room 5 as a measure to make sure that if we do go back to face-to-face or hybrid meetings, we have somewhere to meet face-to-face as a precaution. So happy to take questions, Chair. You'll also see I've included the dates for the team behind the scenes so that you know the sort of timetabling and the work that goes on behind the scenes in the team to prepare for the board meetings.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. Any comments? I think it is wise to have Committee Room 5 booked, just in case we need to go in there. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Hopefully the butler will answer. Okay, apologies for that. In that case, if there's no points to raise, it all looks very straightforward, and it's good that the dates do try and avoid the bulk of the council arranged meetings. The recommendations this time are on page 41 of your papers. So in terms of recommendation 1.2, does the board agree to fix the dates of the board meetings as noted in Appendix 1 for the committee year of 2023-2024?
Agreed.
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 And at recommendation 1.2, do we agree to note that any physical meetings will take place in Woodhill House, but the board meetings will continue to be held virtually at the current time?
Agreed.
Agreed.
And in terms of 1.2C, does the board confirm that the meetings will continue to commence at 10:15 AM?
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
And recommendation 1.2D, does the board note that the approved board dates will be published on the council's website?
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Now, that just leaves us to confirm the date of the next meeting, which will be the 12th of October. We've noted the date, and I can confirm that the meeting is now concluded and the recording will be stopped. Thank you for your interest in this business today and your participation in the meeting.